Yeah, I think we wanted to take seriously the thing that the framers themselves, the founders themselves, were most proud of, which was that the Constitution had come out of a rational process of debate that was serious and formal and involved iterative discussions of language over the course of a long period of time, and that was a much more rational way of designing a constitution than asking a very wise man to go into a room and write a constitution for them, which is what the ancient Greeks had done, or other states had done. And the Federalist Papers, right at the very beginning of the document, reflects on how remarkable it is that America will be governed through reflection and choice. And what they're really referring to is the fact that this wasn't just the creation of one or two individuals. It was a compromise reached with great difficulty and sometimes some very heated debate by a group of people who had very different perspectives on how America should be governed. And we really wanted to take that idea seriously and help lay it out for people so that we can better understand really what compromise meant at the end of the 18th century.
And how did those compromises shape the convention?
Well, I suppose that one thing to say is that the typical way that the Constitution is sometimes taught is by giving students the Virginia plan and giving students the New Jersey plan and asking them, to find a compromise between the two positions. And that's often how this is taught. And you can get a bright group of 16-year-olds to work for about 45 minutes, and they'll come up with something that looks a bit like splitting the difference between the Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan. And then you have to ask, well, what was the convention doing for the rest of the 3 months? If that's all it takes, splitting the difference between these two plans, then what were they really up to? And as we worked through the records and built a model of them, what we really showed was actually the process was so much more formal than that, but also so much more focused on iterative improvements of the Virginia plan in different ways, rather than trying to split the difference between the Virginia and the New Jersey plan. So the Virginia plan is tabled for debate first. It receives debate in the Committee of the Whole for several weeks. That's all of the members of the convention working together, but with slightly less formal rules of debate. Their revision of the Virginia plan is complete. They never really do a revision of the New Jersey plan. They then reconvene as the full plenary session of the convention, and they do the whole thing over again. And then that document is passed to the Committee of Detail, which further refines the plan. That plan is then debated further and refined. Then it goes to the Committee of Style, which is the point at which it really begins to look like a piece of legislation. That plan is then further debated and revised, and then the final constitution is adopted. So to teach this as the convention split the difference between the Virginia and the New Jersey plan really doesn't capture the nature of that process at all. In fact, the New Jersey delegation makes relatively few contributions during the formal sessions of the convention. Of course, we know behind the scenes they may have been talking to people all the time. But as far as the formal process of debate goes, presenting this as a battle between these two delegations just doesn't capture the work of the convention. And we're very excited to find different ways to lay this out for people and different ways to help them explore how that whole process worked. But it's much more a meeting of people who are used to writing legislation and used to the processes of writing legislation than it is a meeting of philosophers debating abstract philosophical ideas. And very quickly, the convention restricts itself to always debating in some way or other written proposals for specific language. This is not a meeting of of philosophers debating very, very abstract points. That's just not how they did their work.